Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's conversation. My name is Carissa. I am a client success manager here at Tollanis. And today we're going to sit down with one of our longest standing clients for a real unscripted look at a partnership that has spanned nearly a decade. Today, we're going to dive into our contact center and speak with one of our clients who lives the experience every day. Julie McManus is here with us, and she's the founder and managing partner at Peak Pure and Natural, one of the fastest growing supplement companies in their space. We're going to have a candid conversation about the decision to outsource their contact center operation, what that looks like in practice, and the importance of a working partnership to make that work for everyone. So if you're a brand that's ever asked yourself, how do we navigate outsourcing our inbound calls? This one is for you. Julie, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate all of your knowledge, participation, and all of the wisdom that you have to share with us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carissa. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. All right, well, before we get into it, I want to give everyone here a quick sense of what we're covering. This has been a partnership that has evolved quite a bit over the years, and we're going to walk through the whole story arc and end with where the business is headed next. So to give our audience some context, Tollanis currently runs inbound sales calls and a dedicated customer service team. Okay, now with all of your knowledge and experience, you have extensive experience managing outsourced contact center operations for inbound calls long before the Peak brand even existed. So take me back to when you were setting everything up for Peak Pure Natural, why a 24/7 call coverage was always a non-negotiable for you and your business model.
Well, we have been in the direct response, direct marketing space I've been in it for over 25 years. And prior to the internet and digital marketing, an inbound call center was, paramount. You had to have one. And so essentially customers that were responding to direct mail and pieces of mail that they were getting in their mailbox, the two main mechanisms to respond were by phone and by mail. And so it was always critical to have an inbound call center and obviously have it be a 24/7 operation. And so that's kind of how it started, and that has always been a part of the marketing mix for myself and any companies that I've worked with in the past, or clients that I've worked with in the past, or now my own business. And so, yeah, it's always been part of our marketing plan.
No, that's great to hear. Now, where was the decision to split your inbound calls versus your customer service calls and handle those internally? How did that decision come about in that process of knowing you had to have that 24/7 coverage, but still making that split there?
Well, when we started Peak, we were actually taking all of our inbound and customer service calls. So we had a small team that took all of the inbound and placed all of the orders for the inbound calls in our office. And then customer service, of course, was the natural extension of that. So that's really where we started. Once the business started to grow and we started to get a much larger volume of calls that we no longer really could handle in terms of the sales calls, the inbound, order processing, that's when we started to look for an outsourcing 3PL to work with us to do that. At the time, we had a 3PL partner that we had worked with for years previous that we decided to go ahead and go back with them. And then as a result, we retained our own customer service because that required access to our internal order processing and systems. And that was not something that we were really comfortable at the time giving access to a third-party call center.
Yeah, oh, very interesting. I know you talked about the decision to start, why you had to have those inbound calls originally, but what is it about your brand and your customer base that with your order volume that makes the always live, always on so essential even today, even in the changing market and business type?
I think mainly because we have an older demographic that's not necessarily comfortable in the digital space. They're comfortable calling, they want somebody to speak to. And because we're in the supplement space, we get questions and need people that can actually answer questions that, are fairly repetitive questions that come up over and over again that we've been able to train our Tollanis team to handle, so that they don't necessarily need to be patched through to a team in our office, which is great. And so it's really, a bit on our customers' part, the fact that they're older customers, and the fact that it is a way to order and deal with our company that they're currently comfortable with. It's changing, obviously, as time goes on, and older customers, through attrition, we gain new customers that are more digitally savvy. But it's always something that we feel like is really important as a part of our business mix, to be able to give our customers a way to reach somebody and speak to them should they have a question, a problem, want to know any specific information about any of our products. Then they have a way to reach us, pretty quickly, and talk to somebody that can give them that information.
Well, it also really just provides that white glove service of knowing that they can always get in contact with you and have their questions met. So, no, that's great. Now you have
we also have an international customer base as well. So, being 24/7 allows us to, have the flexibility to have agents available to them as well. So when they're in different time zones as well.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned having a previous contact center partner. So walk me through what started going wrong with the original partner, and really, when was it that you decided that sparked the need to make change to protect the business while it was still happening?
Yeah, we had been with that partner for many, many years, actually many years prior to starting Peak Pure Natural. They were a partner of ours. And over time, as that company grew and changed ownership and changed management, things just started to slide. So we started to lose that personal touch. I think I talked to you about it being, we were a decent sized fish in a decent sized pond, which I think is important, because you're getting the attention that you need there, and getting the ability to have any issues that you might have addressed as they come up. And so over time, as that 3PL started to grow larger and larger, we started to become a smaller fish in a bigger pond, and the nature of the type of calls that they were taking were starting to change as well. And so ultimately what ended up happening is that we went from having a great dedicated sales, a dedicated customer service rep like yourself, to just sort of being bounced around between different people. And then our call, time to answer started to really decline. Call drops started to really increase. And then we started to have technical problems and outages. And so what would end up happening is we would think everything was fine, and then maybe 24 hours later find out one way or another that that they had an outage. And so, your Saturday morning, you're sort of sitting there drinking your coffee, and a flurry of calls are coming in, basically saying, oh, well, we haven't taken any phone orders for 24 hours. What's going on? So we really started to get into a situation with them where it just became untenable to be backed into that situation where we just did not have the level of communication that we needed in order to be able to manage that part of our business. And those calls are lost, ultimately. Calls, because customers, maybe they're new customers, maybe they're repeat customers, but they can't reach that phone number. And then all that doubt starts to come into their mind as to whether, what's going on, why isn't the call going through? And then it leads into trust issues as well. And so when it first started happening, we thought, okay, well, maybe this is a temporary situation and they'll start to get, things together. And we let it ride for a little bit. And then we had another sort of flurry of outages and problems. And so at that time, we decided to take on and integrate into our system another call center. So a separate call center to be a backup to the first call center. So we went through the the full process of onboarding with a new call center, only for them ultimately to be a backup, so that in the event of an outage or a problem like that, then our calls would immediately switch to the other call center. And it was great because if there was an outage or a problem, then the calls got answered. But ultimately, it became really challenging to train a new call center without enough volume of calls. And so what we gained in the ability to move calls to them should we need to in an emergency, we lost in their ability to be able to manage those calls in a way that was, up to our standards. So it was really kind of a mess there for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you paint a picture that I'm sure many people can relate to, and wow. Now, you talk about, Saturday morning outages. Would you say that that was kind of that final straw that broke, where you were like, we have to make a change, we need something different? You tried bringing in a second partner, that wasn't really working. When you found Tollanis, what was it that we did that got you to solid ground with a dedicated team that you could rely on? What was that? What did that really look like for you?
Well, I mean, at the time, we had gone through several iterations of the problem, and it was clearly, with the main call center that we were working with at the time, it was clearly going to kind of come to blows, to be honest with you. It was become a very combative relationship, unfortunately. And it just really, what was happening in terms of the overall change in the metrics was really just didn't make sense in the scheme of things. And they ultimately sort of just decided they didn't want to budge really on trying to help us to determine what we needed to do to move forward. And so we ultimately decided that at that time that we had to make a change, and there was no way around that. And so we went ahead and started to look for additional call centers, because the backup call center that we worked with ultimately just did not have the support that we needed. They just did not have the framework that was going to support the volume of the business and really the personal touch that we look for when that we look for in a call center. So, and integrating with a new 3PL or in onboarding is a really, it takes time. It takes time away from pretty much everything that you need to do on a daily basis to run your business. So it's a daunting it's a daunting task. And so as we went through the process and came across Tollanis and started talking to the team at Tollanis, we started to realize that there were stakeholders involved, and there were people involved that understood the pain that we were having. They understood the challenges in our own business, the personalization part of what we needed to manage inbound up to the standards that we required. And again, dealing with an older clientele, it's really important that you be able to manage and speak to them in a way that makes them comfortable. And so as we started to talk to the team at Tollanis, we started to realize that, they really truly understood what we were going through and brought to the table a solution to make it easier for us to not only onboard with them, but also maintain the same sort of level of cost that we were experiencing previously, while at the same time bringing to the table a 24/7 dedicated team of agents. So in our prior situation, we were with pool agents, and so those pool agents were relying on scripting and a variety of intranet type information to manage the calls as they came in, where with a dedicated team, we obviously were able to train a group of people to really become a part of our company. So that's really what sold us on choosing Tollanis as our partner for inbound.
Wow, that's really incredible to hear. And I'm sorry to hear that it took so many trials to get to this point, but it's really exciting to see how everything has shaped out over the years. And the scope of what we do together has changed a lot since those early days. And we've run, you just mentioned dedicated teams. We do have, inbound sales campaigns with pool agents. I know we have had many conversations and parts and how we handle some of the upsells, some of the technology enhancements, and so much more. And how would you say that relationship has been able to grow and thrive over these years with all of those changes and with the changes to the business as a whole?
Well, I think one of the first things that happened is that we stopped experiencing any outages. And so I think in the years, I think you told me the other day it was 7 or 8 years now that we've been a client. I think I can count the number of times that we've had some sort of outage on 2 fingers, spread across many, many years. And so that over time gained our trust in the fact that that was not something that we were going to be contending with on a regular basis. So we didn't need to have all the backup measures in place or all the, calls transferring to different numbers or even into our own office should something go down. So that was huge for us, as well as, time to answer was very low. Calls were not getting dropped. The feedback that we were getting from customers was really good. And that allowed us to have the trust and the confidence to move forward and put some of the other things that we had always wanted to do in place. And so I think that's really what helped kind of grow the relationship. I mean, we can talk about the many, many things that we've done over the years and why we've done them and how I feel about customer support and how I feel about customers in general, and making sure that we don't emulate some of the most, I'll say, atrocious customer service that we all experience every day, trying to reach our utility company or cell phone provider or somebody that we need to speak to because we just have a problem that we cannot solve online through their website or through chat or whatever the case may be. So, we can talk about some of why we've done that if you'd like to.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's an interesting conversation and there's a lot to it, including, the relationship we've cultivated over the years as well, and that communication that we have, that standard communication, that biweekly meeting that has really allowed us to explore some of those different areas to be able to get to this point, of course, and to, you have strong feelings on how things should be done and being able to really implement those. But, I think it's very interesting that, we've had the opportunity to have collaboration on operations, the technical side, to your point, the customer service side, all as part of that conversation. So, how has that collaboration looked like with the technical side of things and operations, really being able to work directly and having our teams be able to talk to each other? How would you say that has impacted it?
Yeah, that's been great, and that's really a huge bonus for us as a client, because we have been able to do things that I don't think we would have ever been able to do definitely with our existing or our previous the previous 3PLs that we had worked with for call centers, and really that is about essentially if a customer calls into the call center, we want them to think or that agent is a member of the Peak Pure Natural team, that they're right here in the office with all the rest of us, and it's no different. And in order to achieve that, obviously they have to be well trained. And through the dedicated group of agents over time, we were able to train them, and they actually came up to speed really quickly because they were answering such a high volume of calls every day, getting repetitive questions over and over again, and starting to realize kind of what our customers were looking for. But what we did is if the customer had a question or a problem that inbound agent couldn't resolve, then we created a direct connection to our internal team so that agent could put the customer on hold and say, hold on one moment and let me find the answer for that for you. And so they will then put the customer on hold, contact a customer support agent in our office, get the answer to the question, and then go right back to the customer. We never push or move or transfer the customer into our office. And there's two reasons. The two reasons are, one, it's a great seamless customer service experience for the customer. So we hear all the time from customers how great of customer service we have. That's like one of the most important parts of our business. And it's super important to me that customers feel like they're being taken care of. And so bouncing them around does not make them feel like they're taken care of. It makes them feel like they're sort of being hot potato. What I call hot potato is when you have a problem and you just hot potato it off of your desk onto somebody else's desk. And so that was one of the first things that I desperately wanted, was to make sure that if a customer had a question and the inbound agent wasn't able to resolve it or answer it, that they would have a quick connection to somebody in our office to be able to answer that question and then get right back to that customer and give them an answer. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that when you hot potato customers onto somebody else's desk, you have taken a calm customer and turn them into an angry customer. And so what happens is they now are annoyed, and you bring all that annoyance and anger into your office, and it creates this just sort of really chaotic environment. And so doing that was really twofold for us, which was to not anger them, to keep them calm and get the answer to the question that they had, and also to keep that anger, because, we all know you make a call, you reach somebody and they're like, oh, well, I need to transfer you to someone else. And then you're transferred and now you're annoyed. And then your annoyance is unfortunately gets taken out on the next person that receives the call from you. And especially if there's no context, meaning the person answering the call that's transferred doesn't really have any idea why the customer's calling in the first place. So that alleviated that problem, and it really didn't add a lot of call time to the inbound calls as a result of that, but it has resulted in a much higher level of customer service and a much calmer office and happier people in my office, which helps me.
Yes, well, you have happier employees and happier customers as well, which I think has been a huge piece of your brand loyalty. I mean, I know you've told me you have about a 60% repeat customer rate, which is huge in your industry. And how, I know you've also mentioned that sometimes they're not even aware that they've ever reached a contact center, that we are just an extension of your brand, which is of course the goal. So how would you say that, how does a call center interaction turn into loyalty like that?
Well, I think that it's pretty much what we were talking about, which is that the customer generally does not understand that they're calling or reaching somebody outside of the company. They're experiencing, or their experience is such that they think that they are actually talking to a member of the peak staff. And I hear it all the time, or we see it actually in email as well, and feedback from customers who email us and say, oh, I talked to so-and-so and they were so great, and I just wanted to let you know how well they treated me, or how well they resolved whatever issue or answered whatever question that I had. So we see that frequently, that there's, it's not like we get an email and the person says, oh, well, I talked to so-and-so in your call center. It's no, I talked to, Peter today, and he was so great, and I just wanted you to know that. And so that's really wonderful, because one, it gives us the opportunity to give props to the agents that are handling these calls, and also to know that it's really very seamless for customers. And this framework was not something that I was always in there. I always knew that was something, that was how I wanted to handle it, but it was not ever something that we could achieve in the past. And Tollanis, you guys took the time to listen and let me conceive, kind of odd code, I guess, and in what I had in mind. And then your tech team worked with our tech team to essentially make that happen. And so that was great. And that's been going on for many, many years now. So, and that's just how it's been. And it's created such a good atmosphere in terms of our office and our customers. And it allowed us to make the decision to do the same with customer service. And so by an inbound order taking, order processing versus customer service, solving a specific problem that the customer has, either most of the times it's after they've placed an order. So we had our own our own internal customer service team that handled problems on a daily basis. That was pretty much the nature of all the calls that they took. It's not a huge volume of calls, but unfortunately they talk to people that are having some of the largest or biggest sort of issues, or I like to call them rat's nests that take place in the type of business that we're in, where unfortunately mistakes happen and things happen. And so again, that was a situation where when we kept all the inbound order processing type calls where they could just pop over, ask a question, go back to the customer, when we kept them there, then that left pretty much our internal customer service team to handle problem orders and a variety of challenges that might have come up as a result of an order. And so over time, as we had a variety of staffing changes, we decided, I wonder if Tollanis would be able to handle the customer support side of the equation. And by that time, we had some agents that we knew really well, that we felt very comfortable saying, you know what, I want this one, and this one. And so we started to work on a solution where we would be able to actually keep inbound order processing and customer support in the same place. And then those team members all knew each other, all the inbound team members, all the customer support, they all knew each other. They all worked within the same system, so they could actually communicate with each other. And we could then train those customer support, external customer support team members to not only deal with orders they had already taken on the Tollanis end, but actually get into our own system and remedy problems that had happened as a result. So for instance, you ship a package, the package is never received, the customer's calling, where's my package? And they're doing all the tracking, trying to figure out what happened to it, and determining that the package either needs to be reshipped or the customer needs to check with a neighbor, a variety of things. But by giving them access to all of our systems, we were able to make that happen, which was huge for us. Yeah. And so that really, really helped. And so we have 4 external customer support agents that work for Tollanis that have been there since the beginning, since we did this. So I would say maybe 5 years now. And every now and again, I'll hear from one of them it's usually later in the day when my internal staff is pretty much gone and I'm still here in the office, and I'll hear from one of them, that'll have questions, or I'll listen to this one today, or, somebody called and they wanted me to tell you this, or, so it's really sweet, and it's turned into a really nice relationship as far as that goes. And they're able to help them. I mean, really, there's very little that they're not able to do within our own internal systems. And we have a system in place where if there isn't something they can do for the customer to resolve whatever the problem is, then they have a log that then goes to an internal team member here, who then does, what I would call extra customer support, like the real rat's nest customer support.
I think that circles back to the partnership that we have cultivated even between our teams, our technical teams, of working through those integrations and, operations really being able to speak to each other, and really be able to bring to life the vision that you have brought forward. So I really do think that, wow, it's incredible to hear. But that all comes back to the relationship that has been cultivated through these years. And it's so wonderful to hear you speak so highly of those agents that have been with you from the very beginning. Which brings me
many of them. I mean, even the inbound team, although I don't have as much contact with the inbound team, my internal staff does. And, many of them have been there the whole time. And so it's a real testament to the experience that they're having working with Tollanis. And we've given them a lot of tools to make their lives easier, because it's a tough gig. It's a hard job to take all those calls all day and make customers happy and feel appreciated and get what they need.
Well, there also has been a lot of trial and error as we've worked together through A/B testing scripts and different integrations, different offers, and different opportunities, whether it's been SMS or, all of those aspects. So it has been truly at your hands, the partnership that has made that all happen. So that really leads me to my next question, which is, what would you tell a brand that's afraid outsourcing means losing their personal touch? How would you address that with them?
I mean, I think that you have to look at how many hours you have in the day and what the best use of your time is. We're a small team, and so you have to look at it and say, is the best use of my time managing an inbound call center in my own office, or inbound customer service, or is it in marketing and growing my business and product development, or research and development, or looking for other opportunities? So you really first have to ask yourself that question, because I am a bit of a control freak, maybe you can tell. And it was really important, and it's super, super important to me that customers feel taken care of. And so it's hard to let that go. So I would say you really should analyze that side of your business and see if you can find a partner that can actually execute on what you have in mind, what your standards are for your internal team. If you can find an inbound center that can handle at that same level of quality, then you have yourself a partner that you can probably do far more with than you might ever imagine. I think that companies might think, okay, well, I'm going to outsource to a call center and they're just going to answer the calls based on the script that I give them and do, the basic tasks that they needed to do to handle those calls. But we have really been able to, through our relationship, through trust, through giving our internal tech team access to your internal tech team, having biweekly meetings, and really talking through some of the concepts across all of our team, some things that I don't think any would really ever expect, as far as, you might think of it from an agency level, where we've been able to test all different kinds of scripting, all different kinds of upsells, all different kinds of different exceptions. For instance, one of our exceptions is we have a product that's out of stock and we're not sure if we're going to keep it or if we're going to discontinue it. And so, all of our SKUs come over in a feed, and we don't really want agents to sell that product, but we can't remove it from the feed. And so through a variety of conversations, we've been able to create a solution where on your end, you were able to make it so that if an agent tried to add that SKU to the order, it would tell them, don't add this SKU, or it wouldn't allow them to add that SKU. So there's little customizations that we've been able to make over time through having this great dialogue, the great connection between our team and your team, especially, not only on the tech side, but absolutely on the customer service side or the support side, because, as it sort of starts as a, hey, what do you think? Do you think we could do this? And then all of a sudden there is a brainstorming that's happening. And typically the answer is yes, and it won't be as hard as you think. And so that's been really amazing. And I think one of the more interesting things that we've done over the years is, as our customers are, going through attrition, and we're bringing new, more digitally savvy customers into the equation, many of them order online, some of them still call, many do both, and many order through our direct our digital efforts, and many order digitally also order through our direct mail and print efforts. So it's very commingled, and that makes a really valuable customer in the long run, when you have them ordering and doing all of these things through multiple channels, online and offline. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is, one, make sure that all of our existing customer records were accurate, so that when customers called, we had accurate information for them. They didn't have a phone number in the record. We wanted you to add a phone number. We would want you to go through the address and say, okay, I want to make sure this is correct, if there were any issues, because there's a long time. We've been in business 13 years. And a lot of our customers have been with us a long time. So one of the things that we've been working on is to add mobile and designate mobile, which we did not have previously because of the age of the data and the type of customer, to make sure we had mobile, make sure it was designated as mobile, and then ask the customer if they would like to receive SMS text messages from us. And we would incentivize them to do that by giving them a gift certificate off some money off their next order. And so to have that verbal conversation is great, but how are you going to actually make that happen? And so we started having that conversation, which is, okay, so they're calling, let's double check and make sure that we have the correct information for them. We have a phone number in the record, because you never know, you might need to reach them. Sometimes you have no way of reaching them and you have an issue with an order, because we also get orders through the mail as well. So that's a whole other story. And so we started brainstorming and put together a way that the customer can call. The agent can say, I see that I don't have a phone number in the record for you. Can I get a phone number? Okay, what is that? A mobile number? Is that say a landline number? What is it? And they'll indicate it's mobile, and then the agent will automatically read a script that will tell them that they can get money off their next order if they'd like to sign up for text messaging. And if the customer says yes, then the agent tells them, okay, you're going to get a message, and when you get that message, you need to opt in, and then you'll get your certificate. And that happens pretty fast from the time that they call, they add the record, they complete the order or whatever it is that they're doing. That message is almost real time, goes out, they opt in, and now we have an opt-in, and we have a whole system in place to know that they are opted in. And that way, if they call back again, the inbound agent is not asking them the same question again. And if they opt out of text messaging, then it changes back, and then the agent can ask them again, hey, by the way, I see that you're not opted into text messaging. Would you like to receive the text message? So it's really elegant, actually, how it works, because we're updating our records at the same time. We're indicating that it's a mobile number. We are incentivizing the customer to receive text messaging, which we obviously know is a great order channel. If you're not doing it, it is a fantastic order channel. And they can get it almost immediately, so there's no confusion. They're getting the certificate, they can use the certificate. And as long as they stayed opt-in, we won't ask them again. And if they opt out, then we'll start asking them again. So that really was able to be executed through this partnership that we have, where we've got our the Tollanis tech team and our tech team talking to each other on a regular basis.
No, that's incredible. Thank you so much, Julie. It's funny, actually you just flew through some of the questions I had, but it's because it's a story that goes together. It all flows together hand in hand to really help make sure that the team is an extension of your business, and how we've worked together. That truly is a story of the partnership, and how we've grown and cultivated that relationship, and through so many new enhancements. So thank you for walking us through that. And I mean, at this point, I really want to dive into you. I mean, I know you're in the middle of a rebrand right now, and
I just want to say one thing before you go down that path. And that is this, is that in the past, the way that whole thing that I just described would have happened is it would have had to have started with a scope or a spec. They would have had to decide, can we do this? Can't we do this? How many hours will it take? What's it going to cost? What's the, what do we need from you? What do you need from us? Okay, we'll get back with you with a proposal. And that alone, just to get it to proposal, probably would have taken, weeks of conversations to even determine whether it is something that they could do. And then we would wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for a proposal, and you'd finally get a proposal and you'd say, okay, let's do that. And then we would wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And it would take, weeks would turn into months and it would still not be done. This was done over, well, we meet every other week. So this was ultimately done over 2 meetings, 4 weeks.
And
No, they were communicating with each other outside of the meetings, determining what could be done, and no proposals, no scopes, nothing. It was all a verbal conversation that just started with, hey, we're noticing that this is really working well for us and we need to get more customers that will receive text messaging from us. Do you think you could do this? That's how it started.
Yeah, no, it's and I think that really just speaks to the partnership that our brands have built together, and the teams have been working together for so many years, and so it's fluid, and it is great to hear your perspective on that experience as well. So thank you for sharing that. But now tell me more about you and the rebrand you're working through and how that changes your demographic essentially.
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, we've been in business for 13 years now. Our products have always catered to a little bit older demographic. And over time, the whole marketing landscape has changed for us. And so that's been one of our biggest challenges, which is sort of how do we get from where we are to where we need to be within the whole omni-channel and digital space. And so in the process, we started looking at, because we were a direct to consumer, we focused a lot on direct mail and just, ways where really ultimately the story was what was important. The information as to what the product had, what it did was what was important. We really didn't focus on our brand that much. And so over time, we realized that there are some brands in our space, in the supplement space, that are blowing up, and they're blowing up because people recognize their brand, not necessarily the product. And so our future is really in taking what we have and creating a brand that's recognizable and able to be marketed digitally and through omni-channel, and potentially in a retail environment. So really that takes that recognition, but that won't change who we are or where we've come from, because although many brands today are completely digitally native, they've started, let's say, within the last 5 or 6 years or so and have had great success. That's not where we started. And so we started long before my background is long before the internet and digital marketing even came to the table. And so although we hope to change our brand, our look, more fresh, more modern, market in ways to get more name recognition. Ultimately, that doesn't mean that we will give up the level of customer service that we have, or even our mail, because we know that our customers love our catalogs. We know that it's a great way for them to learn new things about products or ingredients or solve problems that they might have. And so that will always remain a part of our business.
And those phone calls remain part of that business, because you just mentioned all
it's
those
a sales channel. Yeah. It's absolutely a sales channel. And through, and it's an absolute way to increase average order size and lifetime value and so forth that, I think might be missing in this age when companies want all of their customer service to be handled through email, for instance. It's not unusual for me to purchase something and have some need to contact, and the only means of contact is through email. And then I email, and then I have to wait, a couple of days to get a response, and that's just not acceptable, in my opinion.
I
So
agree.
that will always be a part of our business model, and it works. It shows, it proves out in the revenue, in the retention, and in the lifetime value and the average order size.
No, that's great to hear. As the brand evolves, what do you think you'll need from a partner like Tollanis that you haven't needed at this point, maybe? I mean, I know you just talked about the SMS feature, and that's modernizing things and moving forward. So what do you really see be next?
Well, I mean, I hate to say it because I get a little bit afraid when I do, but I think that, there will most likely need to be some AI component to the future, and maybe not necessarily for that personal customer interaction, but perhaps to route the calls or get enough information prior to the call, or to be able to resolve some common repetitive things that come up over and over again. Like, can you take me off your mailing list? Sure. We'll be happy to do that today. I have your name as, I mean, those types of things that don't necessarily need to be handled by a human, I think ultimately could be handled by AI. And I mean, we currently don't have a chat feature on our website. And I think that's also something that we need to remedy and look into. And therefore we could have, at least a good 12 hours of chat time. I mean, even more if we really wanted it, to be available to customers that are comfortable with doing that.
And those are absolutely conversations we can have moving forward. And I look forward to the opportunity to do so. Yeah, I have to throw that in there. But no, that's really exciting to hear. I mean, that's a really exciting next place to go. And I understand the hesitancy, but it is the evolving world for sure.
Oh, I've been blown away. I've had some really, also, I've had some really bad interactions lately, but I've actually had some really amazing interactions with AI after hours that have blown me away. And so we're in a brand new world in that regard, like that have really impressed me, which I would never have said probably, a couple of months ago. But yeah, I really have. And so as an after hours solution, or a solution to the slow volume that takes place, say from maybe 9 p.m. Eastern to 6 a.m. Eastern, AI could be a good solid solution if it can manage the basics.
Interesting. Well, I look forward to taking this conversation offline with you as well now. This was not a direction I anticipated heading, so exciting to hear. And I look forward to continuing that conversation with you moving forward. But I know we're getting close here to time. We just have a few minutes left. And I really would like to end with a grand question for you. So if you had 30 seconds with a founder who's exactly where you were before that first partnership fell apart, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to assess the current situation and ask yourself if it's acceptable. If you're with a call center and you're experiencing challenges, is it acceptable, and what is the impact that it has to your business name if it's not acceptable? So there's that. I mean, your reputation and trust is so important in this space, credibility. And so if you have a proxy that's not working in a way that you feel comfortable, then you absolutely should start looking for a solution or a change that fits your needs. And if you have not considered it and you do need it, then start having that conversation as well. Because like I said, you can manage employees, you can manage a staff, you can manage an inbound team, you can manage a customer service and support team. And depending on the nature of your business, it may or may not be a great experience. It's good days and bad days. But I think that you have to look at what's the best use of your time. And since I don't really know the nature of the folks on this call today, I mean, that's something that you really have to do. And for me, it was the best use of my time was not, trying to one-on-one manage customer service issues. I mean, I still actually do a little teeny bit, but which I think would surprise a lot of customers. But for the most part, on a daily basis, managing sort of this ongoing customer support situation. And, that just ate up a lot of my time, and it really kept me from doing what I'm good at, which is growing and marketing and developing new products for my business.
Well, I think that's incredible. And for everyone on this call, to Julie's point, she is incredible at that. So please go give Peak Pure Natural a look, because Julie, you've done an incredible job with the Peak brand and the businesses that you run and operate. So, I mean, thank you so much for your time today, Julie. Thank you for your insights and your knowledge and your wisdom and everything that you've shared here. I think it is been insightful for me. It's always fun to get to have these conversations with you, even though we get to speak often. But truly is always a pleasure to get to hear your perspective. So thank you again for your time today and being here and sharing your story.
And the thanks goes to you, Carissa. You make it happen. You and Yannick, you guys make it happen. So the thanks is to you.
Well, thank you for that. It's a pleasure to get to work with you all the time. So looking forward to the future and continuing those conversations. I think we unlocked a very interesting conversation here today, live on this call with everyone. So exciting to explore that. But I also do want to go ahead and thank everyone here today for joining us. Thank you for your time. And if this conversation has hit home, whether you're ready to bring in a contact center into the operation, or whether you are starting to sense that a change is needed, we would love to connect. At Tollanis, we are here to help businesses like yours run more efficiently and cost effectively, all while delivering that white glove service to your customers that they so deserve. So let Tollanis become a true extension of your brand and deliver that white glove service. So go ahead, scan that QR code that you see up there on the screen and book a discovery call with our team. We'd love to learn more about your operation and show you what is possible. Thank you again, everyone, for your time. We look forward to hearing from everyone else here on this call. And we look forward to having you join our next fireside chat. Thank you again, Julie, and to everyone here. We look forward to hearing from you.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.